Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL. Today, we've got a full set of updates to break down for you. This is the 163rd episode of Hawks Latest presented by FanArt, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the ride. I know I have, but like I said, we got a lot to break down today. Special thanks to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring today's video, and before this video gets started, if you guys could go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. It would go a very long way. But yeah, the Hawks have officially ushered in a new era. It's been just over a week since the Trae Young trade. Honestly, it feels like it was sooner ago. Like honestly, it's been over a week already. It's kind of crazy. But it was one of the most consequential decisions in modern Hawks history. It's the biggest move in probably franchise history since like trading away Dominique Wilkins. I'm sure some of you guys in the comments remember that. I was not around. But they dealt star guard Trae Young to the Washington Wizards, and it was a move that seriously sent shockwaves through the league, and it sparked debate across the fan base and fundamentally reshaped the direction of the organization. It had been rumored for some time that they were going to go in that direction, and then they finally bit the bullet and they did it. Today's video is going to be focusing on three major areas. First, we're going to break down what General Manager Anzi Saleh said to the media, because he addressed the media for the first time since the Trae Young trade, and so he said some interesting stuff and kind of shared his insight on like why he did the deal. So I feel like that's pretty important to break down. So that's what we're going to do in the first segment, and then we are going to pivot to the trade deadline. I mean, we love talking about the trade deadline because there's so much exciting stuff to cover. There's so many interesting trade targets. There's one very interesting trade target that I think the Hawks should pursue. I wrote an article about it. It's probably going to come out today as well. But I wanted to kind of share a little bit more about that because I think it's very interesting. I think y'all are going to definitely find it very interesting. Y'all probably are going to hate it, honestly, but I think you'll find it interesting. And then finally, before the viewer comment section of today's video, we're going to wrap up with a Hawks game day preview. Because guess what? Our 20-22 Atlanta Hawks are back tonight, and they are taking on the Portland Trailblazers, and they're continuing on their road trip, man. Eventually, we're going to get back to State Farm Arena. Next home game is on Saturday, so I'll be there. But yeah, we still got one more game before that, and bear with me, guys. It's gonna be a late one today. The Hawks play at like 10 p.m. So without further ado, I know that was a lot. Let's waste no more time and go ahead and jump right in and start with General Manager Anzi Saleh explaining the Trae Young trade. So the Hawks kicked off the NBA's trade season by officially moving Trae Young to the Washington Wizards, ending his 7+ year tenure in Atlanta, which began on draft night in 2018, including multiple All-Star appearances. He went on that 2021 Eastern Conference Finals playoff run. Just we have some amazing memories with Trae, but he's now on the Washington Wizards, and it was reported yesterday that the Wizards are going to hold Young out until at least after the All-Star break. All I'll say is that the Wizards, their first-round pick is top 8 protected, and it's in the hands of, I think, the Knicks. And so, if they win too many games, that pick might end up out of the top 8, and then they won't get their first-round pick. And guess what? The Wizards don't want that to happen. So I'll just leave that there when we're talking about Trae Young's injury. I don't want to say too much. But in return, as we all know, Washington sent Atlanta Corey Kispert and C.J. McCollum. And on the surface, it looks like a fleece from Washington. But we got some good vets. We didn't get any draft picks, but we got some good vets, and it tells us a great deal about where the Hawks are headed. From a cap perspective, the move gives Atlanta significant flexibility. McCollum's $30 million expiring contract, it's done at the end of the year, and then moving off of Young's $49 million player option for next year, it clears future obligations that could have potentially limited how we're able to adapt our roster and to build our roster. Flexibility in this league is valued just as much as like talent or future outlook, because and so clearly Anzi Saleh has been prioritizing optionality, and so he had to share a little bit of that insight. And so like this statement though, this move, it made a statement. The team is no longer building around the Trae Young. Like they're no longer fitting into that mold of build around a certain star and then surround him with pieces, that fits his strengths and weaknesses. No, we're building a team. We're building a long, physical, defensive minded. Now the defense is kind of sucked, but still, that's kind of the idea here. It's a more balanced wing oriented identity, and so reason Onzi was even more comfortable, going through with the deal, and I know I'm giving you guys a little bit of context in case you didn't know, but I assume everyone here that is tuning in today's episode is aware of the context regarding Trae Young. But one of the defining storylines of the season and why Onzi was more comfortable trading Trae was because of Jalen Johnson's emergence. He's essentially averaging like a 23-point triple-double. He's taken leap not just statistically, but as a primary decision maker. He has the ball in his hands a lot in late game scenarios, and he's just gradually been getting better with it as the season has progressed. And then also, like, alongside him, the rest of the core, Dyson Daniels has really stepped up as a guard. His three ball has been really bad this year, but he's improved in like every other category. And also in the offseason, Atlanta acquired Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And that also kind of aided in Young's departure because, Na has looked near flawless, like in the starting lineup. And so then when Young came back, and then it was clear that Na was going to go back to the bench, but Na didn't need to go back to the bench. And obviously you weren't going to bench Dyson Daniels because of how good he is on the defensive end. So it just kind of left Atlanta at a crossroads, and then they made the decision to get rid of Trae Young. And so that reality made, all of them stepping up, it made Young's fit increasingly complicated. And it was something that general manager Onsi Soleil acknowledged publicly for the first time since the deal. He met with the media via a Zoom conference. I'm not that tapped in yet, guys. Like I'm with the media, but I'm not hopping on Zoom calls with the GM yet. I'll get there soon, but not yet. But basically, he shared a lot of insight. He said, I think the guys we got back made a lot of sense for us. And so then he continued. He said, we've seen the evolution of our team. We have a lot of ball handlers, a lot of guys that can initiate offense. Hence the segment that the little, spiel that I had before that, about Daniel stepping up as a guard and Nickeil just not being able to go back to the bench. But anyways, continue, Soleil. He said, Jalen's emergence, the guys basically averaging a triple-double this season, Dyson on ball, Nickeil on ball, you got CJ on ball. We have a lot of guys that can handle, and fitting the evolution of where we're going, I think this made the most sense for us. It made sense for Trae. Saleh went on to say, I think this was the right trade for everybody. And that's the important that's the most important thing that we're taking away from this, because they were doing right by Trae. They landed him in a situation that he wanted to be in. Now, regardless of whether it's right that he wanted to be in Washington or not, it's a situation that's good for Young. He gets to develop. He gets to lead this young core in Washington, while Atlanta gets to really emphasize the identity that they built this season without him in the lineup. It's a win-win. While it's not a standard return for a star, and Young's definitely worth more than McCollum and Kispert. It's just about direction. It's just about getting the right role players in the system and then having future financial flexibility, which they are going to have a lot of because of this deal. And so, Atlanta went just 2-8 in games that Trae Young played this year. And then he only played in 5 games in December before being sidelined with, an MCL sprain on December 28th. And then he is yet to make his Wizards debut, like I said earlier. And it's they're being extremely, all I'm going to say is they're being extremely cautious with it because, they don't have much incentive to win right now. And so despite external concerns about the point guard position post-Trae, the Hawks front office appears confident in their decision. And Onzi seems very confident in his little media availability as well. Internally, they believe they already have the ball handlers necessary to function within their evolving system, one that emphasizes versatility, defense, and shared creation rather than reliance on a single generational offensive engine. So now moving on, because as we move deeper into the 2025-26 NBA season, the Hawks find themselves at a very disappointing 20-22. It has been a really rough year so far. Honestly, if you had told me at the beginning of the season, after all the offseason of hype and all these videos just talking about how we have one of the best rosters in the NBA, maybe I was a little delusional, maybe just a little bit. But yeah, if you had told me that we were 20-22 through 42 games, I would have lost my mind. I would have been so upset. I would have been like, you're joking. There's no way. We made all these moves to improve in the offseason, and we're still right at 500, little under 500, exactly where we always are. I would be so pissed. But they are 9th place in the wide open Eastern Conference. So, as open as the conference is, the Hawks are just still in the play-in. Maybe it's inevitable. I don't know. I do think they're going to get it together, and they're not going to be a play-in team. I think we'll make the playoffs this season. But just right now, it's a little funny that that's where we're at, but it's also really not funny, honestly. It's really disappointing. And so, entering the year, Atlanta had legitimate hype. The front office leveraged all of the financial flexibility that they had. And they were aggressive. They made some moves that, really put Atlanta in the limelight. They added Kristaps Porzingis via trade, a 3-team trade with Brooklyn and Boston. They added Nickeil Alexander-Walker on a sign-and-trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves, where, we basically signed him to that contract, and then they were able to just move him to make it work financially. And then also they signed Luke Kennard to a 1-year, $11 million deal, just kind of filling the margins. All of these moves led many around the league to believe the Atlanta Hawks were just 1 or 2 pieces away from contention. Instead, as we've said, the season has been wildly disappointing, and all the national perception that was all positive, it has drastically cooled down, which for good reason. We are under 500 halfway through the year. Internally, though, the same issues continue to resurface. There's been 3 main issues for the Hawks this season, with or without Trae Young in the lineup. And those have been rebounding, lineup inconsistencies, and interior defense. Those have probably been the 3 things holding Atlanta back all season, because all of them have been poor. And yeah, all of these problems are interconnected. If when one is happening, the other is happening because of that other one happening. If that makes sense. When Porzingis is out, which he's out often, he's actually out tonight. Again. Atlanta relies heavily on other guys to maintain the pressure in the paint. Guys like Onyeka Okongwu and Jalen Johnson. They rely on them to protect the rim, which isn't really a recipe for success. It's the biggest reason we brought in a 7-footer this offseason, so they wouldn't have as much of a load, but, Porzingis literally just never plays. But yeah, both Onyeka and Jalen have pretty much been struggling on the defensive end this season. We know Jalen has, but Onyeka also has, and it's not really even really Onyeka's fault. He's just undersized. And so yeah, them being on the floor together, while they have a lot of great offensive chemistry, it leads to defensive breakdowns inside, and also getting beaten on the glass, and problems that compound over the course of games. It's been prevalent with this duo specifically, but also just all of the guys in Atlanta's interior. And so that's why there's been so much speculation of Atlanta being aggressive in the trade market to upgrade their front court. And while there's been speculation about a bold move for a guy like Anthony Davis that we've talked about on this channel a whole lot, that option comes with significant risk. Anthony Davis is 32 years old, and he's currently sidelined with a hand injury and has become increasingly unreliable from a durability standpoint as his career has progressed. Anthony Day-to-Davis is what they call him. Sacrificing major assets for him would be a massive gamble. It would look good on the court when he plays, but he doesn't play often, and so it may not be worth it to throw out a major package. However, there is another guy who I don't mind the idea of, and I wanted to bring him up today. More realistic scenario may lie elsewhere, specifically in Sacramento. So let's look at the Sacramento Kings. They sit at a staggering 10-30 through 40 games. Talk about a horrible season. Despite them having a roster built to compete now with, long-term salary commitments and also a lot of veterans that have won in the NBA before. They also they're one of the few teams that could realistically enter a full-scale fire sale at the trade deadline. They have little hope for immediate improvement. I think the best course, the best way forward would be to really just sell all your guys at the deadline. That's probably the best way that they can improve their roster around the margins and then fully go into a new era, and just build on your young core. But they don't even really have much of a young core. Times are really tough in Sacramento. But let's say a fire sale does happen. If that happens, Domantas Sabonis, their center, should be at the top of Atlanta's list. We should be among the first to even call Sacramento regarding Sabonis if they make the indication that they are going to really sell off a lot of their guys at the deadline. So a little bit of context with Sabonis. Despite missing a lot of time this season, it's conveniently enough, as I'm kind of suggesting we trade for him, he's also kind of hurt right now. But he is expected to return soon, and he has a strong history of durability. This is not a guy who's, a street clothes guy. This guy plays. And it's misleading this season because he only has played 11 games this season, but he's going to return, and then he'll probably play the rest of the season. Knock on wood, but that is, his track record proves that. He's played at least 70 games in each of the previous 3 seasons. He's obviously not going to get to 70 games this year because of the time he's missed so far. But he has a proven track record of durability. On the court, though, his fit is intriguing. It's a very intriguing fit. Obviously, we can more easily identify the fit with Davis. This one is a little bit different. he provides elite rebounding. I mean, he's one of the best rebounders in the NBA. He's been the best rebounder in the NBA for a few seasons, like over the past 5 years. He also has high-level playmaking from the center position. He's a very underrated passer. He acts as an offensive hub. And yeah, he has a lot of offensive consistency. He's a proven offensive big who can rebound the hell out of the basketball. And you know what? Hawks could use that. The Hawks could seriously use that. All of those traits that he provides could immediately stabilize Atlanta's front court. I mean, think about Onyeka Okongwu at his peak. The best version of Onyeka Okongwu, the best he's ever going to become, and then also add a few inches to his height, and then there you go. That's Domantas Sabonis. I feel like that's a very solid comparison for Sabonis. He's just a much better Onyeka Okongwu. And so he would effectively address two of the Hawks' biggest weaknesses, two of the things I mentioned earlier, rebounding and lineup reliability. However, there will be a lot of questions defensively. And you know what? The Hawks can't really use a lot of, they can't sacrifice a lot on the defensive end right now because it already isn't pretty. While he's an exceptional offensive big, his limitations on the defensive end could make his pairing with Jalen Johnson less than ideal. As we know, Jalen Johnson has really struggled as a defender this season because of the new offensive load that he has taken on. Sabonis, yeah, he would help a lot on the offensive end, but man, that front court would give up a lot of points. So then, if we were to make a trade for him, Quinn would have to be smart with pairing Sabonis with Mo Gay, and then also having a lot of size at the threes, so then we can make sure that we're not relying on Sabonis to fully protect the paint. I don't know, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, obviously this is just a rumor, and honestly, it's not even a rumor that the Hawks are gonna be interested in Sabonis. But I feel like if they make him available, the Hawks will be one of the teams to call. Financially, it's not as big of a financial commitment as a guy like Anthony Davis, but he is still set to earn at least $45 million per year for the next 3 seasons, including this season. So, I mean, that's very much a sizable commitment, but it is notably less risky than an Anthony Davis deal. So, and also, you'd probably give up the same amount that you would give up in an AD deal for a Sabonis deal. AD is probably still a better player than Sabonis, but again, he doesn't play. He never is in the lineup. And Sabonis is also younger. So if you consider those two things, it'd probably be a very similar package for Sabonis that you would give up for AD. So as the February 5th trade deadline approaches, which it's creeping up, it's actually pretty soon. It's 20 days away. We got 3 weeks for the trade deadline, guys. Buckle up. It could be a wild few weeks on this channel because we're going to be talking about it all. But Atlanta's expected to be active as the trade deadline approaches. Whether that activity leads to a blockbuster or a much more calculated adjustment remains to be seen. For now, the front office continues to evaluate its options, and many fans have begun to say, "In Onzi, we trust." Fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all of the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at Pistons versus Suns and selecting Dylan Brooks for higher than 20.5 points and Cade Cunningham for higher than 1.5 three-pointers made. Download the app today and use promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BASKETBALLFAN. Underdog. Make picks, win money. So guess who's back in action tonight? Our Atlanta Hawks. It's game day. Now, I don't even know if we can call it game day. It's game midnight, game 1 a.m. because the game starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and so it's gonna be a late night for me because I will have a video to you guys tomorrow. And so yeah, the Hawks take on the Portland Trail Blazers tonight in the last game of their long road trip. We're back at home on Saturday against the Celtics. I will be there. I will be media. If you guys have any questions you want me to ask ahead of time to Quinn Snyder or any of the players, let me know down below in the comments. But that's not what this section is focused on. We got to talk about the game tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. They are a team that's dealing with injury-related uncertainty of its own. The Hawks are dealing with injury uncertainty, and the Blazers are also in that same boat. Drew Holiday and Denny Avdia have shared the floor just once since Holiday suffered a right calf injury back in November. While Holiday returned earlier this week after a 27-game absence, Avdia is now listed as doubtful due to lower back soreness, and it would be a major plus for the Atlanta Hawks if Denny Avdia is unable to go because, man, he has been having quite the season. He's been Portland's engine all season. Look at these numbers. He's averaging 26.1 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 6.9 assists. I mean, what? I mean, he has been insane this season. He's also one of the highest volume free throw shooters in the NBA. I think it goes Luka Doncic 1, and then I think Denny Avdia is 2 at he's taking 8 or 9 free throws a game. I mean, he's proven himself as a scorer, as a playmaker, as a guy who can lead an offense. Like, he has been one of the biggest surprises of the season. His absence was felt Tuesday night in a loss to the Golden State Warriors, who, ironically, Atlanta defeated 2 games ago. Without him, Portland struggled with turnovers, ball movement, and free throw generation. Like I said, like, this guy is a generational contact drawer, because my God, he gets to the line a lot. If y'all thought Luka's whistle is annoying, I mean, this guy is on that same level. So honestly, for my viewing experience, I kind of hope he doesn't play, because if I'm staying up this late to watch some basketball, I want it to be some good basketball. I want it to be some ethical Jalen Johnson hoops. Jrue Holiday, meanwhile, he's still shaking off rust. He's averaging 10 points in his first 2 games back and is shooting just 6 of 19 from the field. For the Atlanta Hawks, they are 2-1 on their current road trip, which has been going on for some time. It's been a minute since we've been home. They also just suffered a blowout loss to the Lakers, and that halted a 3-game winning streak. It would have been really nice if we could have gone into this game against the Blazers on a 3-game winning streak, because I also like our odds tonight. But we just had to get blown out. It was a very deflating game. Los Angeles shot nearly 58% from the field and dominated Atlanta physically, out-rebounding them 47-32. Us getting out-rebounded should come as no surprise. And you know who would help with that a lot? Domantas Sabonis. So regardless of what you guys think in the comments, this guy would help with the dang rebounding. Nickeil Alexander-Walker in that game against the Lakers, he led the Hawks with 26 points, while CJ McCollum was not far behind him. He added 25 as well. It was actually his second game with the team, so already having 25 points off the bench in your second game with the team, like, he is such a seamless fit, and I can't wait to see how he progresses in an Atlanta Hawks uniform. Corey Kispert, another new addition, chipped in for 19 points. He was a very good contributor off the bench. He was finishing at the rim. He was knocking down threes. He was pulling with confidence. Everything we want to see from our newly acquired small forward. He's continuing to settle in his new role. I mean, both of them I love the fits of both of them. So I want them to succeed. I want them to flourish here in Atlanta, and they're slowly being able to do that. They'll probably have big roles tonight, because the Hawks do have an injury report that's loaded. Kristaps Porzingis, Zachary Ricochet, and Luke Kennard all missed the Lakers game. Kennard is questionable tonight, but Porzingis and Ricochet have already both been ruled out. I mean, I don't want to feed into speculation. And actually, someone asked a question about this that I'm going to talk about in the viewer comment section. But man, it is timely that both of them are missing games right now. So this is going to mark the first meeting between the teams this season. Portland swept the 2-game series last year. You know, it's adding an extra layer of motivation for Atlanta as it looks to bounce back defensively. I think this is a great opportunity, especially if Deni Avdija cannot go, which is looking increasingly likely. At the time of this recording, he is doubtful. He hasn't been ruled out yet. So hopefully he can just kind of stick on that trend and then not suit up, because that would give Atlanta a major advantage and a great chance to go 3-1 on the road trip, and then return home with a lot of momentum and a chance to get back to 500 against the Boston Celtics. It'll be lit. It'll be a great game. I'm excited. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about the game tonight. So now moving on to our fourth and final section, the viewer comments, giving you guys a chance for your voice to be heard and for me to respond to some of your hot takes, your bold opinions, whatever you may call it. So let's go ahead and start. We're going to do 3 today, and we're going to start with @DavidMaxion 22711 said, "Why do the Hawks management want AD so bad? He stays hurt, and OO is too short to play center. Go get Daniel Gafford, 6'11", 265 pounds. Naw should be an all-star. Face of the team, JJ cannot carry a team yet." Okay, that's a lot to unpack here, but I'll unpack it for you. Yeah, like long-term center, maybe not a starter. I think he can be if you surround him with the right pieces, but with the way Jalen Johnson has struggled defensively, like, you need a more defensive-minded guy in the front court next to an Onyeka Okongwu. And so, like, I don't know. I like, he clearly, like, offensively works. Like, offensively, he is great, and it's just like he may be too much of a liability on the defensive end right now to really consider him like a long-term center. He may be too short. I love the idea of Daniel Gafford. You know, I've talked about Gafford on this channel before. It was a couple episodes ago. If you haven't watched that, I would go ahead and watch that, because I think I shared some valuable insight there. But yeah, I mean, he's a beast. He's 6'11", like you said, 6'11", 265. He's a unit. Atlanta could really use a presence like that in their off their bench. If we got Gafford, he wouldn't be starting. But he would play valuable minutes off the bench. And so, like, that could be a guy who could really complement Onyeka's game. Maybe you can run some double big lineups with Onyeka at the 4 and Gafford at the 5. I think that could be really beneficial. Also, yeah, like, Naw's not going to be an all-star, but, like, honestly, if you look at his improvements from last season to this season, like, he could be someone who kind of eventually gets himself into those talks. I've been voting for him. I've been doing my all-star voting, and I've been trying to get Naw to the game, but obviously it won't happen, but he should be. JJ, he can't carry a team yet. No, I mean, let's be realistic. Like, but this guy's still so young. I believe in him. I think he's just going to continue to get better. And also, I think there's a little recency bias here. Jalen had a very poor game against the Lakers, but he hasn't had very many poor games all season. I expect him to bounce back tonight and really put the pressure on the Portland Trail Blazers. So I appreciate your comment. Moving on, at DeMorris Magruder said, leave AD alone. He's damaged goods. We have a constant reminder in KP. That's right. He said, if I'm the Hawks, I'm looking at team-friendly deals. The Hawks can find a suitable big to fill the gap. And you listed some very interesting names here. Day'Ron Sharpe, Goga Bitadze, and Rocco. I can't pronounce the last name. But he would be players I'd be looking at two that could help right now, and one forward-facing in Rocco. Yeah, out of all the guys you mentioned, Day'Ron Sharpe that's kind of who I would want the most. I feel like he would be the most realistically attainable. I feel like he's not valued as much in Brooklyn as Goga is in Orlando. And I think everyone on the Nets is available. So I would really like the idea of Day'Ron Sharpe. I mean, he would be a high-energy backup big I think he's a very efficient finisher at the rim. I also think he's a sneaky good rebounder. I would love Day'Ron Sharpe. He also kind of matches the timeline. Like, he's not a vet, but he's someone who's kind of like in that same age range as a lot of our core. Yeah, I would love the idea of Day'Ron Sharpe. That's a very interesting name. Maybe I'll do a full segment about him in the near future. But I like it a lot. And yeah, I'm with you on the AD stuff. Like, if I had the option, I wouldn't do the trade. But then again, I don't know. Like, if you can get him at a real discount, if you can get him at just for like Porzingis and Kennard's expiring deals, like, I don't know, maybe too good to pass up. But also, it's like, do you want to pay that money long term? Probably not. So yeah, I appreciate the comment. Day'Ron Sharpe is very interesting, and I'll do a full segment about him in the near future because there are rumors that he might be moved. So yeah, I like that a lot. Day'Ron Sharpe. He's a high energy big, good rebounder, good finisher at the rim. Yeah, sign me up. I'm all for it. At BWell218 said, feeling like Zach is sitting because he may be about to be traded soon. When was he injured? So it wasn't during the game against the Nuggets, but it was after that game when he was just like he started to get ruled out with, it was stuff in his knee. It was just like inflammation, I guess, which is very possible to happen, just like, not playing basketball, or like the day after you play basketball. Like, it's very possible that there is an actual injury at play here. It is very timely, I will say. But then again, I don't think the organization would trade Zach. Like, I think that would be kind of stupid, honestly, unless it's for like a Lauri Markkanen or like for a whatever star around the league. I mean, Zach isn't going to be included in the Anthony Davis trade. I think I've made that pretty clear. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's all weird timing because him and Porzingis, like, Porzingis even was healthy. He was playing 20 minutes a night off the bench, and then all of a sudden he's out. I don't know when either of them got hurt. Like, there wasn't a specific time either of them got hurt, which makes it a little fishy. And then obviously, like, the Luke Kennard stuff, like, Luke actually hurt his neck. Like, he actually got a neck strain, so I can't like speculate there. I mean, you didn't even mention Luke, but a lot of Mavs fans and a lot of Hawks people were mentioning Luke. They're like, oh, well, this is the exact AD package. Porzingis, Reza Shea, and Kennard. And all of them are sitting at the same time. Kennard was actually hurt, so like, he isn't like, but I don't know. I don't want to speculate too much because these are legitimately, like, they should be legitimate injuries. It's just all so timely to where I'm just a little fishy about it. Because I mean, yes, neither of them got hurt like on the floor in game. Like, this was an example of them, getting hurt like either at like practice or just waking up on the wrong side of the bed or something like that. But it wasn't on the court mid-game, so that makes it definitely a little suspicious. So that's going to do it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We're going to be putting out videos every single day, keep you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know down below in the comments, what were your thoughts on Onzi's comments on the trade? What would your thoughts be about acquiring Domantas Sabonis? I think it would be a very bold move that I would be up for, but let me know your thoughts on that down below. What are your thoughts on the game tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers? It's going to be a fun one. Hopefully Atlanta can get a victory, get to 21-22, and then return home against the Celtics with a chance to get back to 500. That's a huge opportunity to build a lot of momentum on the season, and I can't wait to cover it all here on Hawks Latest. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I will see you guys next time.